Forget about asynchronous messages and external transports and all that stuff. Open up Image Post Controller. As a reminder, when you dispatch a message, you actually dispatch an envelope object, which is a simple wrapper that contains the message itself and may also contain some stamps, which add extra info. If you dispatch the message object directly, the message bus creates an envelope for you and puts your message inside. The point is, internally, Messenger is always working with an envelope. And when you call message bus arrow dispatch, it also returns an envelope, the final envelope after Messenger has done all its work. Let's see what that looks like. Dump that whole message bus arrow dispatch line. Now move over and upload a photo. Once that's done, find that request on the Web Debug toolbar and open the profiler. Perfect! You can see that the final envelope has the original message object inside. Add Ponka to image. But this envelope now has more stamps on it. Quick review time. When we dispatch a message into the message bus, it goes through a collection of middleware, and each middleware can add extra stamps to the envelope. If you expand stamps in the dump, wow, there are now 5 stamps. The first 2, delay stamp and AMQP stamp, are no mystery. We added those manually when we originally dispatched the message. The last one, sent stamp, is a stamp that's added by the send message middleware. Because we've configured this message to be routed to the async priority high transport, the send message middleware sends the message to RabbitMQ and then adds this sent stamp. This is a signal to anyone who cares, us or other middleware, that this message was in fact sent to a transport. Actually, it's thanks to this stamp that the next middleware that executes, handle message middleware, knows that it should not handle this message right now. It sees that sent stamp, realizes the message was sent to a transport, and so does nothing. It will be handled later. But what about this bus name stamp? Let's open up that class. Bus name stamp literally contains the name of the bus that the message was dispatched into. If you look at messenger.yaml, at the top, we have 3 buses: command.bus, event.bus, and query.bus. Okay, but what's the point of bus name stamp? I mean, we dispatched the message through the command bus, so why is it important that the message has a stamp on it that says this? The answer is all about what happens when a worker consumes this message. The process looks like this. First, the messenger consume command, that's the worker, reads a message off of a queue. Second, that transport's serializer turns that into an envelope object with a message object inside, like our log emoji object. Finally, the worker dispatches that envelope back into the message bus. Yeah, internally, something calls message bus arrow dispatch envelope. Wait, but if we have multiple message buses, how does the worker know which message bus it should dispatch the envelope into? Well, that is the purpose of this bus name stamp. Messenger adds this stamp so that when the worker receives the message, it can use the stamp to dispatch the message into the correct bus. Right now, in our serializer, we're not adding any stamps to the envelope. Because the stamp doesn't exist, the worker uses the default bus, which is the command bus. So in this case, it guessed correctly. This message is a command. The last stamp that was added was this unique ID stamp. This is something that we created, and it's added via a custom audit middleware. Whenever a message is dispatched, this middleware makes sure that every envelope has exactly one unique ID stamp. Then, anyone can use the unique ID string on that stamp to track this exact message through the whole process. Wait, So if this is normally added when we originally dispatch a message, should we manually add the stamp inside of our serializer so that the envelope has one? Look at it this way. A normal message that's sent from our app would already have this stamp by the time it's published to RabbitMQ. When a worker receives it, it'll be there. But in this case, as you can clearly see, after receiving the external message, we are not adding that stamp. So is that something we should add here so this acts like other messages? Great question. The answer is no. Check out the log messages. You can already see some messages with this 5D7BC string. That is the unique ID. Our message does have a unique ID stamp. How? Remember, after our serializer returns the envelope, the worker dispatches it back through the bus. And so our audit middleware is called, it adds the stamp, and then logs some messages about it. To back up a bit, there are two big points I'm trying to make. First, when a message is read and handled via a worker, it is dispatched through the message bus and all the normal middleware are executed. For a message that is both sent from our app and handled by our app, it will go through the middleware 2 times. The second important point is that when you consume a message that was put there from an external system, that message might be missing some stamps that a normal message would have. And for the most part, that's probably fine. The delay stamp and AMQP stamp are irrelevant because those both tell the transport how to send the message. But the bus name stamp is one that you might want to add. Sure, Messenger used the correct bus in this case by accident, but we can be more explicit. Head into External JSON Messenger Serializer. Change this to envelope equals new envelope, and at the bottom, return envelope. Add the stamp with envelope equals envelope arrow with. This is how you add a stamp, new bus name stamp. Then, because our transport and serializer only handle this one message, and because this one message is a command, we'll want to put the command bus here. Copy the command.bus bus name and paste. I'll add a comment that says that this is technically only needed if you need the message bus to be sent through a non-default bus. Next, our serializer is great, but we didn't code very defensively. What would happen if the message contained invalid JSON or was missing the emoji field? Would our app fail gracefully or explode?